All right, so I have three articles for you today, all from LGBTQ Nation. The first one is a mixed bag. I wouldn't classify it as good news. I wouldn't classify it completely as bad news, though it leans more towards that. The second article is going to be a good news article, and the third one is a shit news. Forget bad news, it's shit news. So, let's get started. Restaurant owners excoriated for straight couples discount. And their quote is, "We don't do trans or the lesbians." Makes my skin crawl just reading that. The explosive social media battle that ensued had one co-owner complaining that people are too hateful for homophobes nowadays. I mean, that just takes the cake. You are hateful towards a group of people just for existing, and then you whine that other people are hateful towards you. No. That's not how this works. I mean, I believe this comes from your Bible. You reap what you sow. So if you're going to be hateful to a group of people for just existing, then don't be surprised when other people are hateful towards you. It's really that simple. Anyway, and trust me, in their picture, they look as much of douchebags as you would expect. I mean, they're just you just want to punch them in the throat. That's how they look. Anyway, a family-owned restaurant in Mississippi is facing backlash after a 48-hour online tirade that included a viral video revealing their open hostility to the LGBTQ plus community. And I actually tried to access their Facebook page earlier this morning, and I couldn't. "We don't do the trans or the lesbians or the gays," said Nettie Yeager, who, along with her husband Darwell, owned Darwell's Happiness Cafe in Long Beach, Mississippi. I'm sorry, you call your cafe Happiness, but you're so full of hate? What the hell? But, last I checked, they haven't had a review in 5 days, on Google anyway. Now that this is making the rounds, I'm hoping that they get bombed into the Stone Age. And by bombed, I mean bombed by their reviews. In case, the thin-skinned, desperate to be victimized members of the community decide that I actually mean, violence, as opposed to, no, I just want their business to go under because they are so sure. Not only are they so in your face with their bigotry, that wouldn't be so bad, but then they whine when people, don't like it. I mean, they took down their Facebook post, not just their Facebook post, but their Facebook, because, stand up for it. If you truly claim that you do not like anyone who isn't straight, stick with it. Put your money where your mouth is. Let's watch your business tank. But obviously, they care more about their business than their so-called values. But anyway, moving on. I read that one already. All right. The original post, since deleted, like I said, seems like their entire Facebook went viral after they uploaded it on Facebook Tuesday afternoon. In the video, the duo offered a last-minute discount to real couples like them. Husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, guy and girl couple, the real kind of couple, Darwell Yeager said from the restaurant's kitchen. Okay, now, what if you have a trans man dating a trans woman? First off, how the fuck would you know? And secondly, that should be fine because that's a real couple. Because you think that you can just, if you see a guy and a girl, that automatically means real couple. When you come in for the next hour and a half and you are a couple, can produce a child couple, we'll give you something free. How do you like that, folks? Darwell asked. Okay, so how the hell would you know that? Can you look at a couple and say whether they're infertile or not? Whether they just have fertility issues? Because some people with fertility issues can still get pregnant thanks to science. So, which is it? Is it just a claim of we will only seat you if you come in as a guy-girl pairing? Or are you going to quiz them on whether they can make babies? Because those are not the same thing. Even if you were talking about trans couple, depending on how long they've been on hormones, they can indeed procreate. So, again, how would you know? Because we don't do the trans or the lesbians or gays. I'm sorry, but that's down the street. Nettie Yeager said in the same video, wearing short shorts and a pair of giant sunglasses. And yes, she looks just as stupid as you think. The negative reaction online was swift and inspired 2 days of doubling down by the owners. Darwell Yeager said people were against him for being an outspoken conservative and that he wouldn't be bullied by the left. You know, so many people claim, that they're good conservatives and they're being bullied because most people don't like their bigotry. Not all conservatives absolutely hate the LGBT plus community. And to hide behind that, the same way a lot of people hide behind religion, is stupid because there are religious people who aren't bigoted. There are conservatives who aren't bigoted. This is not a partisan issue. This is not something where, if you're liberal, you accept that people exist, and if you're conservative, you only accept people existing if they exist the way you want them to. No, not necessarily, which is why I keep emphasizing we need more parties, because I'm sure there are plenty of conservatives, log cabin Republicans, anyone, who are for equal rights, who, because they are in the Republican camp because they're fiscally conservative, not because they're culturally conservative. So we need more parties, so those who have had to leave because of MAGA, because they just completely lost their minds, but who are still conservative, will have a place to go, because right now all they have is the Democratic Party, which, depending on what's part of the Democratic Party we're talking about, is a non-starter for them. So they should have a place to go. Anyway. And it's so funny. You actively show hatred to the LGBT plus community, but then you whine about being bullied. What the hell do you think the LGBT plus community goes through? I mean, obviously not all. Depending on where you live, you don't have to deal with that. But, you know, you're showing hostility towards a group of people and then you whine that people are hostile towards you. Not how this works. Not at all how this works. Okay, I don't run after every dollar that's thrown at me if it comes from a source that I would prefer not to mingle with. Really? That's why you removed your Facebook, huh? I just would rather not do business with the source. I'm not a prostitute to my industry, he said in one post. Right. That's why, again, you took down not just the Facebook post, but what seems like your entire freaking Facebook. Because you aren't a prostitute to your industry, you stand up for your values. Okay, so why is it you took down Facebook then? In another, the co-owner said he personally makes sure that there are no woke employees at Darwell's. How in the world can they stay in business when they're so flagrantly ignoring discrimination rules? I mean, seriously. I'm sure if you ask this schmuck, they would not be able to tell you what woke means. So, don't you wish you had a bad guy where you worked to keep them out of your place of employment? He asked his followers. Huh? Nettie Yeager called on lesbians to remember what the Bible says about same-sex relationships in a post no longer visible to the public. She also posted a pic of her backside in boy shorts while wearing a shirt that read, "Fuck off and kiss my straight married 50-year-old ass." I'm sorry, boy shorts? I'm sorry, I thought that you were a girl. Why would you be wearing boy shorts if you actually care about gender roles? Are you kidding me? And the fact that she's my age is, well, a few years younger, but just, ugh. And what exactly does it say about same-sex relationships in the Bible, Nettie? Because last I checked, it doesn't say shit. Not about lesbians, definitely. I mean, there is, I think it's a mistranslation where it says, a man shall not lie with a man the way they do a woman, which actually in the original translation is actually against pedophilia and not same-sex relationships. But why go after lesbians when it specifically says man? Not same-sex relationships, but a man lying with another man. Of course, I'm pretty sure at that point she'll claim that it's talking about all humans and not just males, but... In an overnight post on Thursday, Darwell Yeager called on Trump supporters to show up in MAGA gear with American flags for a 10% discount through Sunday, March 30th. That offer was no longer visible hours later, the Clarion Ledger reports. Yes, because we're standing for our principles. We're standing for our values by cowering when people, basically... I don't know what, maybe suggest a boycott of the restaurant, which is within their rights. So, now, but is that being bullying? No. No, people get to choose where they want to spend their money. And if they don't want to spend their money where a bunch of bigots own the restaurant, that's completely up to them. I mean, let's not even let's just forget about the discrimination laws they tried to flaunt by by claiming a straight couple's discount. Let's just talk about the fact that people have a right to boycott who they want. Should these people have the right to have a straight couple's discount? In a perfect world, yes. Because more and more people are accepting of LGBT couples and other non-white couples and gender non-conforming couples, whatever is outside the norm. Most people are accepting of that, so I could see an argument for easing up on discrimination laws. But they're upset that basically they're going to end up losing money. So they have an unpopular opinion. But when push comes to shove, they care more about money. Even though they claimed at first that they didn't just care about money, that they want only a certain kind of money. And they're finding out that most people, don't want to do business with people like that. As a days-long diatribe ground on, the list of former customers and denunciations piled up. Welp, one of my favorite restaurants is now ruined, read one post. Like, tell me the truth. If Elton John or RuPaul or Pete Buttigieg walked into your restaurant, would you turn down their money because they're gay? Another user posted. Homophobia, transphobia, and racism are stupid. And what do all three of those gay men have in common? They're all married. So, yeah, exactly. Actually, considering that they are so hung up on the boy-girl dynamic, and RuPaul looks awesome in drag, I wonder if he were to dress up in drag, whether they would even notice. They would probably allow him and his husband in just fine because they wouldn't even be aware. Darwell's Cafe, Long Beach, stands to learn a really hard lesson, said Gulf Coast resident Jared Hill. When you publicly condemn a portion of your customer base, you lose more than just their business. You lose the respect and support of the entire community. Exactly. And if that's the hill you want to die on, fine. But just be aware that these are the same kind of people who boycotted Bud Light, tried to destroy Budweiser. They have no problems with boycotts when they're the ones doing the boycotting. But the minute they are boycotted, suddenly it's all unfair and they're being wrongfully targeted and, whine. That could include a national audience as well. Darwell's has been featured on the Food Network multiple times, including Guy Fieri's Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives twice. And it's entirely possible, given Guy's views on gay people, that he will not blink an eye. Because there was a lawsuit not that long ago against him by a former, I don't know if it was an employee or producer or what, who claimed that he said, warn me when I'm about to meet a gay person because they freak me out. So it probably would not faze him at all that these people are bigots. Brandon Nicase, a firefighter who created the popular Cajun Kick seasonings brand, announced his products will no longer be available at Darwell's Cafe in Long Beach. Gulfport resident Matthew Bounds, author of New York Times bestselling cookbooks, shared he's on the lookout for Mississippi Gulf Coast small businesses that are happy to serve people like me, since Darwell's doesn't want my dirty gay money. Oh, that is so awesome. So even though they took down all their posts because they realized that they really, put their foot in it this time, people aren't going to just forgive because they're still bigots. That hasn't changed. They haven't apologized for being bigots. They haven't done anything to do a mea culpa. They just, realized that shit got real and they just quietly took everything down. Not that they're sorry, though. By late Wednesday, the psychic toll of the owner's massive and unforced error looked like it was having an effect, at least on the boy shorts wearing "Kiss My Straight Married 50-Year-Old Ass," Nettie Yeager, who wanly posted, "Guess no specials anymore. No kids eat free day, no singles day, no girlfriend day, no buddy day, etc. People are too hateful if they don't understand something." Okay. You don't want to give out any specials anymore. That's fine. The cat is out of the bag. And people are too hateful? Look at your own damn selves. You decided to discriminate against a group of people simply because you think they're icky. Or because they don't produce children, which, again, science exists. And that science helps straight people. Because not all straight people can produce. And what about asexual couple who has no interest whatsoever in having kids? They're just perfectly happy. Or even a straight couple who is perfectly happy not having kids. Do they not get a discount because they choose not to have kids? I mean, the hate, the stupidity is so staggering. And what are we supposed to understand? We understand completely. You hate the LGBT plus community. You strongly support the orange toddler who is single-handedly trying to destroy the country and, well, not so single-handedly, is trying to destroy the country, and you're surprised that people have opinions on that? Again, you're probably one of those schmucks who used to drink Bud Light and now doesn't anymore because at one point Bud Light had Devin Mulvaney as a spokesperson. So, and you're claiming that other people are hateful. That is rich. The Earn post a dismal ratio of 9 shares and 482 laughing emojis. Nice. By Thursday morning, an apparently exhausted Nedley finally relented in a post admitting the owners messed up. No shit, you messed up. But you know what? You cannot undo this. We now all know how hateful you are to a community of people just for existing. So, do you think you're going to win these people back? Probably not. And the restaurants in the area are going to reap the rewards. I would like to apologize to all my friends. You have friends at this point? If I wrote or said something that offended you. Are you kidding me? I'm not perfect. Far from it. I say things people don't understand, misread, misunderstood, jokes maybe I shouldn't say, get upset and say something I should have thought twice before saying. I'm not perfect and I get my feelings hurt too. Not always right, but I'm human too. I'm truly sorry if you got offended or misunderstood something not meant to hurt anyone, she posted. I'm sorry. You told anyone who isn't straight and can't have kids that they aren't real couples. What is misunderstood about that? I mean, what she doesn't say is what it was supposed to mean. Because that was pretty loud and clear that you do not consider anyone who isn't straight to be a real person. So there is that. It was technically an apology and likely too late. Way too late. Because if you truly, truly felt sorry, number one, you wouldn't have been doubling down for as long as you were. And number two, you would not just say that, oh, I was misunderstood or you misread. Explain what you meant then. Just explain. There was no explanation there. Just this boilerplate, oh, poor me, people don't understand me. I feel like people don't speak English or I don't speak English because nobody understands me. And yes, I have been there where I say something and I'm like, am I speaking English? Why is it nobody understands what I'm saying? So I've been there. But I question what it is that I said wrong. I don't double down and say, oh, well, you're just stupid, so I'm going to not explain myself. What? Anyway, that is the end of that. And let me just look up Darwell's again. Because I'm curious if okay, so it's still not available on their Facebook page. Let me check their Google reviews. If they, because currently they get 4.6 stars. Nope, nothing new. But yeah, people are probably, instead of going to fire, instead of bombing the review sites and tanking them that way, they're probably just going to quietly stop going there, which is fine. Either way, they just screwed over their business because they have deeply held beliefs or something. I'm sorry, you can have deeply held beliefs, but discrimination laws exist for a reason, and technically they didn't say that they don't serve the LGBT plus community. But in defending their straight couples only discount, they did say we don't do the gays, we don't do the lesbians, we don't do the trans. Beyond the funny way of how they phrased it, because these people are supposedly my generation. You should probably already know how that sounds when you say that it is sexual. And I'm a freaking asexual. A lot of people in my community don't understand sexual jokes. I do. You do not say that. What the hell? Anyway, let's move on to even a lot more fun article, because the other one is fun in the sense that these two people are doing the FAFO really, really fast, For those who don't know, FAFO stands for fuck around and find out. And they're finding out really, really damn fast. So even though that's fun, we still don't know if their business is going to suffer. This is going to be a fun article in real time. Judge blocks anti-LGBTQ plus book ban while calling out Christian hypocrisy. And there's nothing like using someone's religion against them when they are being holier than thou and insisting that, God hates the same people they do. Anyway, the Bible has many sexually explicit passages, but schools are banning far tamer books as obscene. And why are they obscene? Because they discuss something that isn't straight. They talk about people who aren't straight. Actually, it's probably also going to deal with race, but let's see. A federal judge on Tuesday issued a preliminary injunction blocking the enforcement of an Iowa state law that removes books with LGBTQ plus themes and references to sex acts from school libraries. The judge's decision noted that the law had an exemption for the Bible, despite the text's many sexual and brutal passages. Exactly. Hell, this is nothing new. This very issue was taken up on freaking Dr. Quinn. I mean, that was in the 80s. Simply, there was an episode where the townspeople went completely crazy about banning things, banning this, banning that, because, we don't want children reading about magic, because then people will become witches because they're somehow real or something. I'm talking magical witches. I'm not talking about Wiccan. And finally, after they destroyed Dr. Quinn's father's library collection because of all the horrible things, hell, they had something as horrible as the Quran in her collection because her and her father are actually intelligent and intellectuals, unlike the dumbasses of that town. And finally, she got the Reverend thinking by pointing out that she has this book here that has human sacrifice, that has all sorts of sex outside of marriage, blah, 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 blah. All these horrible things. Polygamy, all this horrible, horrible things that they claim that they're against. And then she puts it in front of him and his face goes ashen. He goes pale, realizing what had happened. Because he fully is intelligent enough to understand the implications. And that's how the episode ended. By her pointing out that it's the Holy Bible. And fade to black. I would have loved to have seen how the rest of the townsfolk reacted. But at least we saw that the Reverend has some self-awareness. All right. Continuing on. The book ban was part of a broader Don't Say Gay law passed in Iowa, Senate File 496. Governor Kim Reynolds, a Republican, signed SF 496 into law in May 2023. It restricts instruction on LGBTQ plus issues in K through 6 classrooms and mandates that libraries only contain age-appropriate material. And of course, these dumb schmucks are going to decide what is age-appropriate. I mean, there might be something in there that, as a parent, you don't want your kid to learn about or read, that you don't feel that they're ready. That's a parent's prerogative. It's not their prerogative to tell other kids what they can and cannot do. suits were filed to challenge this law. The first suit was filed by the Iowa State there's a word missing. I'm trying to figure out what they're trying to say. The first suit was filed the Iowa State Education Association, as well as by publishers and authors who had their works removed due to the bans. So probably by. The lawsuit's notable plaintiffs included book publisher Penguin Random House and authors John Green and Jodi Picoult. They claimed that the law was overly broad and age indifferent. It's far beyond obscenity to prohibit any book with any description of a sex act for any age, the lawsuit stated. A second lawsuit was filed by LGBTQ plus advocacy group Iowa Safe Schools, along with parents and children represented by Lambda Legal, the ACLU, and the law firm of Jenner and Block. And they're also fighting back against Trump. Their complaint challenged the law's book ban, its restrictions on teaching about gender identity, as well as its provisions forcing the outing of students who wish to change their name or pronouns. Now, you should never out anybody. Nobody should ever feel like they're in danger because you have to out them. There was this one Republican, I don't know if he was formerly in the government or worked on campaigns or how he was related, how he knew that there were a bunch of gay Republicans in Congress. And he said he has a list and he threatened to publish it. Now, as funny as that is, because they're the ones who are screaming about gay people, no, you shouldn't out anybody. That is not something, that's just not cool. You should not be outing people. The judge presiding over these cases, U.S. District Judge Stephen Locker, a Joe Biden appointee, issued an injunction in both suits on December 2023. All of the law's provisions were blocked except for the forced outing one. Why? I mean, I get it that parents should know what their kids are doing, that there's that parents have a lot of control over their kids, but forcing them to know what name they go by in school or what pronouns they want, that's not something a parent needs to know. And if you don't know, if you need to have someone forcibly out your kid to you, that means your kid does not feel safe with you. So that's a you problem. There are some parents who will find out and be totally cool with it and, let the kid know that it would have been safe for them to tell them that they would have been fine with it. But more likely, the parent is going to be pissed off at the kid for daring to even consider being trans. Because that's why kids generally don't tell their parents stuff, because they're afraid of how their parents will react. And that's the thing that happens. They could try to kill their kid, they could just kick them out, but either way, it won't end well for the kid. In August 2024, this injunction was lifted by the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 8th Circuit. The appeal was issued when the appellate court found the lower court failed to apply proper examination when issuing its injunction. The case was sent back to Locker for re-examination of what the appellate court felt were the appropriate standards of review. In his Tuesday ruling, Locker reissued a second preliminary injunction. In a 40-page briefing, Locker ruled that of the 3,400 books that were removed, many of them were not outwardly pornographic or obscene. Thus, the law on its face is unconstitutional. And we all know what the real reason is. Locker wrote that SF 496 makes no attempt to evaluate a book's literary, political, artistic, or scientific value before requiring the book's removal from a school library, and thus comes nowhere close to applying the obscenity standard that is typically used to determine the constitutionality of statewide book restrictions. The result is the forced removal of books from school libraries that are not pornographic or obscene. It's like what I keep saying. These people who claim that they want to remove a book should do a book report on said book to show that they actually read the damn thing. Because obviously these books are not actually read by parents. They just maybe take a word or phrase completely out of context, or they grab a book that's meant for older children and claim it was found for younger children and blah, 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 blah. So no, they need to understand what section of the library they get it out of, who the book is for, and read the damn thing. Not just select passages, the whole thing. Because I know that there are websites dedicated to taking certain phrases out of context and giving parents who just want to ban a book because they don't want people to learn that a certain community exists or what their lives are like. They will go to this website and pick phrases to claim that how horrible this book is. Indeed, the law's use of age appropriate as a criterion was left rather vague, making it unclear what type of books are allowed and which books are deemed inappropriate. The term's vagueness became apparent upon viewing some of the titles deemed not age-appropriate, including George Orwell's 1984. Right, because we certainly wouldn't want people to learn about what's currently happening in the government. No. And Mouse by Art Spiegelman. Meanwhile, titles such as the King James Holy Bible are exempt from this rule, despite containing references to sex and brutality. Judge Locker addressed this in his ruling. The fact that the Bible and other religious texts are exempt from Senate File 496 reinforces the problems because it shows that even the Iowa legislature does not believe all books involving sex acts are devoid of pedagogical value. Locker wrote, "There is no substantial or reasonable governmental interest that would justify allowing some books with sexual conduct to be in school libraries, but not others." Locker is expected to rule in the Iowa Safe Schools suit soon. Both are likely to face appeal. Right, because it's obvious the agenda is to erase the LGBT plus community from schools, so kids don't learn about people who aren't like them, or just prevent people who are part of the community from learning about themselves and what being part of the community means, instead of whatever stereotypical bullshit the people around them tell them and scare them senseless. Anyway, the shitty news. Trinidad and Tobago bans homosexuality again. 66 countries now ban homosexuality. Trinidad and Tobago have reinstated its ban on homosexuality, which was lifted by the Caribbean nation's High Court in 2018. That year, the High Court in the Christian-majority nation ruled in a lawsuit brought by LGBTQ+ activist Jason Jones that Sections 13 and 16 of the Sexual Offenses Act are irrational and illegal because they violate the rights to privacy and freedom of expression. What I think the judge pointed out was, here every creed and race find an equal place, and I think we must all come together now and embrace each other in true love and respect, Jones said at the time. But on March 25th, the Court of Appeals reversed that decision, saying that only Parliament can overturn the country's ban on homosexuality. The Court of Appeals also reduced the maximum sentence associated with homosexuality to 5 years in prison. Prior to 2018, the maximum penalty was 25 years in prison. Well, it's great that they reduced the sentence, but I guess it's not surprising that, that only the Parliament can overrule a country's ban on homosexuality. Dude, if something is illegal, it's illegal. That is the point of the court. It's not that they're legislating. They're just saying this rule is illegal. This rule is unconstitutional. So, hence, that should be stricken from the books. That is how democracies work. Judges cannot change the law. Yeah, they can. It's called finding something unconstitutional. That is their whole point. Tuesday's ruling states, we give effect to Parliament's intention. It is therefore left to Parliament to repeal the criminalization of buggery and the related offense of gross indecency by legislation. Well, tell us how you really feel about gay people. What the hell? It is an emotive issue which engages vibrant discussion in the court of public opinion. Someone thinks highly of themselves. Parliament is ultimately responsible for ensuring that laws reflect the evolving standards of a democratic society. Okay, that is their role and function. Any provisions found to be unconstitutional must be taken from the statute books by Parliament through legislative reform and not by judicial overreach. So what the holy hell are judges for then? If they can't rule something unconstitutional, what is their function? Seriously, what is the point of a judge if they can't find a unconstitutional rule unconstitutional? Jones spoke out against the Court of Appeals decision. We are talking about the rights of some 100,000 LGBTQIA+ citizens in Trinidad and Tobago, he told Trinidad and Tobago Newsday. Why are we spending all this money and retaining these laws? The modernization of our democracy is at stake here, and this is the beginning of this modernization. According to 76crimes.com, the ruling brings the total number of countries banning homosexuality up to 66. The African nation of Mali also recently criminalized homosexuality. In the original 2018 case, religious conservatives argued that God's wrath would be visited on Trinidad and Tobago if the anti-homosexuality laws were overturned. Of course it's religion. It's always religion. Conservatives argued that legalizing homosexuality would violate their religious beliefs. How? Nobody is saying that you have to be gay. Nobody is saying you have to be friends with a gay. Nobody is saying you have to get married to a gay. How does this violate your beliefs? Seriously, how does this violate your beliefs? The judge said the ruling is not an assessment or denial of the religious beliefs of anyone, which it's not. You can still believe whatever horrible shit you want to believe. You just don't get to tell other people that they too have to hate the same people you do. Because again, for the people in the back, not all Christians are bigots. That isn't how Christianity works. If it was, we wouldn't have so many different denominations. Christian conservatives also told the press that they are worried about homosexual rights trumpeting heterosexual rights. How? How is it trumpeting heterosexual rights? I mean, just because homosexuals get equal rights doesn't mean heterosexuals lose rights. Like I read somewhere, it's not pie. You give something to someone doesn't mean you're taking away from someone else. It is just mind-boggling how people will pretzel themselves in order to justify their hatred. Because they do not want to be seen as bad people, so they have to desperately try to find a way to make their hatred seem rational. Because if they don't, they would have to accept that they're horrible people, and they just can't allow themselves they just can't allow themselves to believe that. So they have to desperately cling on to this idea that they are somehow right. So anyway, that is the last article I have for you. So with that, I will see you guys in the next video.